Good morning, America. Good afternoon from Germany. This is the last day before Christmas. We have Friday, December 23rd, and today is PCE price index in about 7 minutes. So let's start right away to talk about the news for today and then about the charts. So let's begin with the news. In about 6 minutes we will have core durable goods, more inflation number here from PCE price index, and yeah, this can move the market like we have seen yesterday. News were better than expected and therefore the market went down heavy. We couldn't expect this strong movement, but at the end of the day we went a little bit higher again. So what the market wants to have is a slightly lower than expected number here for PCE price index and core PCE price index, and if we are in line, yeah, this could also be slightly positive, but we don't want to have higher than expected price index numbers. And yeah, the same for new home sales. We want to have lower numbers, so we need less than 600k and then the market can go higher. But if we have better than expected numbers like we had yesterday with initial jobless claims and the housing numbers, then yeah, this will cause the market to drop again. Now let's look at Nasdaq here. This is a 5-minute chart. Let's go to a higher time frame like an hourly chart, and there we see the big drop yesterday from the highs to the lows, about 4.6% down, and then before the closing we had the turnaround here to the 9 EMA on an hourly chart. This was 1.7% from the low to the closing level. From there we went sideways. We were a little bit up here in a European session and we are right at 11,100 points right now, 5 minutes before the news. The next levels are still the same like yesterday. You can still see the lines here. So this was the low level of Monday, and there we have the low level of the day before yesterday, so Wednesday. This is a Fibonacci level 11,250. Here's the high point from yesterday and the high point from Monday. So the levels on the upper side are clear. On the lower side here, 11,000 is the psychological round level, and if we go on a day chart you will also see the next level here is 10,590 points. Of course we have some more levels here, because here was the low point of this outbreak to the upside, and we had here a low point on November 3rd. This was at 10,750 points, about this level. So these are the next steps. So you see the one level is the low point of yesterday. 10,870 points was the low point of yesterday, and the last time we had 10,909 points. So we went a little bit below this, caught some stop losses here, and then went up again. So this level should hold. If we cannot hold this level, then it's looking really bearish again, and we are going to lower levels. But for now, I'm aiming to the upside. I went with a light bullish position. Sorry, the words today. With a light bullish position above 11,000 yesterday. I went long again, but it's only a light position. So yeah, I don't want to take on a big position before the news today. I'm waiting for direction, and then I can see, because I was lost out yesterday when we went below the 11,000 level. You clearly see here below the 11,000 level, and there was more than 100 points lower, 130 points lower, and I was stopped out here at 10,980. And I went in again on before the closing at 11,005 points. So I'm in a position right now which is a little bit in the green, but yeah, we have to wait for the news to see direction, and if we can push higher again, we can probably see a 100% reversal on this news. This would mean about 2.4% to the upside, but we can also see a retest of the lows. So everything can happen. So let's just prepare for this and then see the news when they come out. What else do we have? We have crude oil. Where's my chart here? Crude oil. we see we are rising again. Yesterday we dropped together with the market. We tested the $80 level and then we sold off. Today we retest the level again. High point today $79.71. And the same for natural gas, the same direction as yesterday. Ooh, where's my chart here? Natural gas, futures. Yeah, we switched to February. February is now the front month contract. And here you see on a day chart, it's still red. We had the breakthrough below this level here. We talked about this in previous live streams. And here you clearly see we could hold the level for 2 days. And then yesterday we had the break below. We talked about taking on a short position. I wasn't trading this one here, but it's interesting because you have more room to the downside to interesting levels just to take on here a short position. And it's loading. Sorry, it takes some time. Here it is. To the next support level, because here you have the lows of October, and here a little bit higher are another lows like here. So we have some room to 460 or $4 to the downside. Let's go back to Nasdaq to a 1 minute chart just to see the news when they come out. And here the news. So 20 seconds left. Already a lot of movement here. Ten seconds left. Wow, 40 points. Oof. Yeah, 100 points to the downside. News are out. If we can have the news here. Where are the news to the down and to the upside? Well, here, let's press F5 here if we can have the numbers. No, we need to wait for the numbers. Seems to be bullish and bearish together. Come on, reload. Why does it take so long today to have the numbers? Here they are. Inline, wow, interesting. Inline, 4.7% and 0.2% for core PCE price index. So forecast was good. It was in line. Core durable good orders were a little bit higher than expected, but only 0.1%. Okay, it's good. Yeah, inline is good, I think. At first we had the fear and falling of the prices, but now we stay stable and fear can go out of the market. I think inline is good. It's better than too high numbers. But let's see what the market is doing with these numbers here. So for now, it's still below the moving averages and below VWAP. But we will see what will happen here. $50 points down from the highs before the news, from 11,100 to 11,050 right now. Trying to find a direction. A lot of movement here. These were 100 points to the downside and back 80% to the upside. Trying to find a direction now. You see VWAP is here at the lows from pre-market. Not moving a lot right now because we need more volume to move VWAP. And now it should move a little bit because of higher volume. Retesting the lows here. $11,000 level retest. We had a low of 11,001 point. Here's the retest, 11,001.5. And slightly below 10,997. Can we hold the level? You see how important it is to look at the future prices, because there we have the important psychological levels which are tested, and bulls and bears are fighting for these levels. We have seen this yesterday, because yesterday we tried to hold above the level. You see here, we try to hold here for about 45 to 60 minutes above 11,000 level. But when it broke here, we had more selling pressure. So you see the important round levels, the psychological levels are important, even if there's not a Fibonacci level like there is now. But when these levels get broke, like now, there can be more selling pressure. And that's what you have to know. Therefore, look at the future prices and not at QQQ or SPY or whatever. Look at the future prices, because there you see the important level. Yeah, of course we need more volume for having a real breakout to the downside. So maybe like yesterday we will have to wait for the market open to see more volume. But the first direction seems to be a little bit bearish now. Market is a little bit in fear, and yeah, we would have better had lower than expected numbers. Inline is okay, in my opinion it's okay. Everything is better than too high numbers, but the market wanted to have lower numbers. Let's look at the other things. The two Taiwan's durable goods orders are lower than expected. That's good, so less inflation risk from here. And personal spending is also lower than expected, only 0.1% instead of expected 0.2%. So overall, numbers are good. Yes, core durable good orders are a little bit higher, but I think the inline numbers here are good. And also here, the lower than expected numbers are not too bad. So yeah, let's wait for half an hour after the market open for new home sales. This is another important number. You see here the expectation of 600,000 new home sales. And if we are lower than expected, this is also good for the market. And if we are higher, then it's not good, again, because of inflation risk. Here you see again here, sometimes we see these fake outs to the downside just to trigger some stop losses. That's why I always say don't place your stop loss too near to the 11,000 level, especially before the market opened, because we can have higher reactions here, as you have seen, to the downside because of less volume. So we can trade faster to the down and upside, but we try to hold these levels, and you see bulls are fighting for these levels, so they will try to hold the 11,000 level, maybe for another 5 or 10 minutes. Yesterday it was 45 to 60 minutes, so this can be the same until the market opens, and we are trying to hold the 11,000 level, and then when market open we see the decision if we can hold the level or not. So sometimes it takes its time just to see what will happen here. Let's look at some stocks, especially yesterday we had the huge sell-off in Tesla. So let's move on with Tesla. They hit now my target. We talked about it yesterday, $125. And we had the low yesterday, even lower, at the $122.26. Yeah, you see the implied volatility is now really, really high. But I said I don't want to hop right into a short put position. I talked about this yesterday. And the interesting thing is you can go down to a 100 strike in January, or even, where's my Tesla? It was here. You can go down to a strike of 100 in January, expiry the 20th. Here you see you will get about $3.50 was the closing level of yesterday. So we have to wait here for market open to be able to trade these. But you see for 28 days until expiry, you would get $3.50 or $350 for the whole contract for a 100 strike put if you sell it. And for February, with 56 days until expiry, there's a 90 strike put for $4.20. So you will get even more for a lower strike because of more days until expiry. And this is interesting. It's a delta between 10 and 16. This is what I normally trade. And I think that we could see a small bounce here from this level, but I'm not sure if the market is not holding and we see more sell-off, then also Tesla will be sold off more. Therefore, I just wanted to wait just to see the first green candle or just a doji candle, and then if I see that Tesla is making a bottom, that I can go in with the less risk in this trade. So I'm not trying to figure out where the lowest point is, but you can still make a good amount of premium here if you sell options. but at first I want to see that this really is the lowest level. Tesla is still a weak stock, and if the market is not turning to the upside, I don't want to be in a short put position right here. Yeah, that's the interesting thing for Tesla. So yeah, the market is weakening. We will probably see a recession. Elon Musk already talked about this, but Elon Musk is trying for Tesla to sell more cars, or at least the same amount of cars. Therefore, they are lowering their prices for Teslas now, just to be able to sell cars. Of course, there will be also a layoff of staff, so they will work with less people and have less amount of spending. But this will not help a Tesla stock in a short time. So he needs to get his focus back from Twitter to Tesla. I've seen a funny meme yesterday. I wanted to show you. Just a second, and I can bring this up here for you. It's really funny because it really explains or describes on one glance what is happening here. Elon's focus is on Twitter, and his second company, SpaceX, is already suffering here, and you see Tesla already underwater. And yeah, that really describes in a funny way what was happening here with Elon and his companies. And this is probably the cause why Tesla dropped here. You see, we were at $200 on December 1st, so the stock dropped to yesterday about 38% in just 3 weeks. That's heavy, and even more from the high points of last year in August. So we were at high points of, what was it here? Let's see, December. We were at high points of $416 on November 1st, and you see since then we dropped 68% from the high point. So yeah, that's a lot. Of course, we moved a lot to the upside in the previous years, but now you see how weak this stock is, and we are at the bottom of this downtrend here, as you can see. And yeah, there's maybe more room to the downside, maybe to the $100 level. If you go on a monthly chart, you will see it here. The low point, which was my target, is the $125. But you see here, after there was a split, a 5-to-1 split, stock split in 2020, we went down 40% from the high point, and the low point was $100. So you see here 44% from the high point to the low, and the low point was $102.67. And therefore we could retest, of course, this $100 level, but I think that we would see a small bounce from this $125 level to the upside, and then see more selling pressure to the $100 level. If the market stays weak as it is right now, then we will probably see more sell-off here to the $100 level. But if the market can recover, then probably this will be the low point here at the $125 level. But I don't want to trade the stock directional to the upside, and therefore I'm not buying into the stock. I'm just trading it, and I just want to be in a short put position just to recover, just to get in some premium, and yeah, just to trade the stock to the upside. But the implied volatility is the most interesting thing for me, because here you clearly see on a monthly chart that the implied volatility is really high compared to the last 2 years now. So the last time we were at these implied volatility levels was in 2020, and there we had a lot of movement also. But you will get good premium now for options, and that's what I want to trade, the implied volatility. And when I sell an option, I'm short Vega, so I'm short implied volatility, and that's what I want to profit from. I want to have time in my favor, Saturday decay, and I want to short implied volatility, so short Vega, and that's more interesting in my opinion than being long directional the stock, even if the stock can go higher. But yeah, that's not what I want to trade here. Okay, Nasdaq recovered the news, so let's go back to Nasdaq here. Wow, 100% recovery already. Yeah, that's pretty fast. So you see the bulls have won the fight for now, but we still have time until the opening, so a lot more can happen here. We are just waiting for more volume to come, and we are at the high point now, 11,130. yeah, it's interesting to see, because now you see that a lot of stop losses here were triggered just then to see that the market is rising again. And that's what happens really often, especially when you have news before market open, that we just see the sell-off to the important levels, like here, the around 11,000 level, and then take on the other direction again. And that happens really, really often, and that's why a lot of beginner traders which don't know about futures and the important future levels just are there standing and saying, what's happening? Why am I always getting fished with my stop loss here? It has nothing to do with your broker. It's just because everyone knows about the important levels and where a lot of stop losses are set. And then they try to hit these levels just to trigger these stop losses, which cannot be seen, of course. These stop losses are hidden at the broker. And when we hit the levels, then a market order will be sent to stock exchange. And so therefore no one else can see in the order book the order. But they know that the orders are there because it is an important level. It's like a stock, it's like Tesla at the $100 level. So everyone thinks that $100 is a cheap price, because then we will be at the 2 digits level. So $100 must be a cheap price, and that's the same with Nasdaq here. It's just a psychological level with round numbers of 11,000. But the news were good. But sometimes the news are good and we see sell-offs. That happens because we just see direction here. What I want to trade is just the direction and not the news itself, because the news can be whatever they are. I just want to trade direction, and here the last days we were pretty weak. You see here, this was a nice doji, so I thought, okay, we will see a recovery, but we were talking about this 9 EMA level here, and you see that yesterday we just hit this 9 EMA level, and then we have had a big sell-off. Of course, I couldn't expect a sell-off like this yesterday, but the market is weak. We are having lower highs and lower lows, and therefore we are weak, and it has no sense to fight against the market. You have to wait for others to do this work for you, and just to see the important levels you want to take on a trade or to step into a trade. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting now above the 11,000 level. It's better to be bullish than bearish, of course, because you have a better upside margin, then you have risk to the downside. But I don't want to be too big in a bullish position, because the market is still weak. Yeah, I'm trading here against the main trend, and the main trend here in the last days is to the downside, and that's the risk. You have to know your risk, and you have to know how much you will lose when you are stopped out, and that's it. Yeah, then you are not trading in fear of losing, because you already know before you enter a position how much you will lose. And that's really important for every beginner trader, to know what scenarios can happen and to be prepared for these scenarios. And that's why I always draw these lines to the up and down side, just to be prepared and to know what happens when we see sell-offs or when we see buy-ins here. So now we are at one of the targets. Let's go back to the 50-minute charts just to see the target again here. 11,130 level. This is one of our targets, because we had the lows here on a Monday, and we are hitting this level now. It's not really important now, because yeah, it's from today is Friday and we had the lows here on Monday, but it can just be a smaller resistance level, just to take a small breath, to go back maybe 20-30 points to the last moving average, and then go higher again. And that's just what we need. We need these pullbacks to have higher lows, and for being able to re-enter for the bulls at lower positions, because I would never enter here at a high point. I would always wait for a smaller pullback and then enter a long position. Yeah, you see here the last high pre-market. This is an interesting level for a pullback here. We already had this pullback in this area, but we still have some room to the downside here for pullback on the 9 or 10, 20 EMA. Even on the 5-minute, you see moving averages are lower, so we have some room to the downside to pull back, and then with new power going to the upside again. Yeah, it seems pretty bullish, but it can turn around again on the market open, so don't party too early. We have to wait for market open to see the right direction. But making higher highs than during pre-market is already a good sign. Better than yesterday, because yesterday we had the sell-off clearly at the news, and the news weren't good at all. So here this time it's better with the news and with the market. So let's see if we can hold above the 11,000 level. That's what is important for me, just not closing below this level, and then I will stay in my in my small long position. And you see parabolic SIR is already moving to the downside because we closed here above this level, but you see that it was turning a lot here on a 5-minute chart, so I like to go on a higher time frame just to see. And here the same, it was turning to the upside and then to the downside again because of these two big candles. So most of the time as a swing trader it makes sense to watch it on higher time frames, and here you clearly see with the closing candle of yesterday we closed above parabolic SAR and the dots moved to the downside, and since then we are in an uptrend. And that's why I went into a long trade, because here you see the rise above the 11,000 level was important yesterday for the closing, and that's why I re-entered a long trade. So I didn't lose a lot from my trade. I lost here yes, of course, because the first time I entered at the 11,250 points, here my second position, and I was stopped out with the whole position at the 10,980 points, but I re-entered at 11,005 points, so I lost just 25 points for the re-entry. And I'm in with a smaller position now. But yeah, that happens, that you are stop lost out, and that's important, just to have your risk and money management, and then you can re-enter every time it is looking better. You can re-enter your position and trade it again, and that's what I'm doing right now. News are good, direction is in our favor, so I'm holding my position and I'm waiting for higher levels to come. And if we break the next Fibonacci level, I can go in with more of my long position, but maybe I'm waiting for next week, because yeah, there are not a lot of news for next week. Let's just have a look at these. So next week is only on Wednesday interesting. We see here Wednesday pending new home sales, and this is the only day with interesting news. On the other days only 2-star events. So Thursday, yes, initial jobless claims, but yeah, like every week, nothing really interesting, and therefore I don't think that a lot of movement will happen on the other days because of news. It's just Wednesday, the important day, half an hour after the market opened. Okay, let's go to the other commodities. We have sugar here. Again, we went higher, therefore happy to be out of this trade, just waiting for the market to find a high point. This candle is looking interesting, but we have the whole trading day before us, so we are waiting for the closing of the candle. But if we see this candle here as a closing candle, it could be interesting. But yeah, we have to wait because we had new highs today, and therefore I'm not going short right now, just waiting. The same with orange juice. Orange juice is still trading sideways. I'm waiting for higher levels around 220, and then I can short it. And with rice, we had even higher levels. We had this nice doji yesterday, but we went higher. And yeah, maybe we'll see higher levels here and retest the previous highs now. So let's see, this was an inline candle, so we were not making new highs. It depends on what we are trading here today, but this is a commodity with only a few traded contracts per day, not really liquid, and therefore I'm not trading it, just watching it. What else do we have? Some stocks, back to stocks. Or Euro USD. Yes, Euro USD is still trading sideways, as you can see. Even yesterday, on a big sell-off of the market, nothing happened in the forex market with Euro USD, just trading sideways. And also with the VIX, yesterday we had from the 20 level we had a big gain up to above 24, and then on the closing we went back to 22. So a lot of movement, a lot of volatility changes yesterday. Today a little bit lower after the news. Let's see where we can settle before Christmas here, but for now it's still a low volatility compared to the panic and the level where we are trading right now in SPX and Nasdaq. What else do we have? Tesla, we already talked about this. We have natural gas, we already talked about this. yeah, let's bring up Microsoft again, because Microsoft is the biggest stock in Nasdaq. So we had the big sell-off here yesterday below the last lows, as you can see. Yeah, it was interesting, but again, this is the same like with the 11,000 level in Nasdaq. A lot of stop losses here were triggered now, but we managed to close right at the lows, as you can see, and we are holding the level today. So we need to hold this level above the last lows. If we close below on a weekly basis, this is a really worst sign for the next week for Microsoft, but if we manage to close above, it's not a bullish sign, but it's not as weak, because you see we are still below moving averages. It's a downtrend here on parabolic SAR on a day chart, but when we can close above the low levels from yesterday, it's a good sign and a not too bearish sign, and therefore just waiting for direction. We are still in this sideways trading phase. We talked about this yesterday here on the high point and the low point here. So these were previous lows, as you can see, and we had the retest yesterday just going outside of this area to trigger some stop losses, but closing right at this level. So this level is still important here, $237. We don't have to close below this level, else it would be bearish. If we close above, we are still in the sideways trading phase here. So I'm not entering a position here right now, but it's interesting to see what happens with the biggest stock in Nasdaq index. Netflix, yes, we didn't talk about Netflix. Let's go back to Netflix. Look at this stock yesterday. Yesterday Netflix lost about, what was it, in 2.4% at the lowest point, but it managed to go back up. So we closed at about the same level we opened. So almost no loss in Netflix, and you see how strong this stock is compared to Nasdaq index and to Tesla, which is one of the weaker stocks in the index. And that's interesting to see, because this is really strong. Yeah, this is a real strength here for Netflix. And you see even the implied volatility is rising, yes, because we still have earnings on January 19th. But it's an interesting sign, because this stock is really, really strong right now. And I expect the stock to go here to the $310 level or $311, where we have the Fibonacci level. And this would be more 4% to the upside. And this could cause the option premium to go down again and maybe trigger my buyback of the 240 strike. You see, it's not here. 240 strike short put I sold. And yeah, I managed to enter it really at the sweet spot here, at the low point here at the 280 or $81 level. I entered my 240 strike put. So the second contract, the first contract I entered here for $5.30, and the second contract here for $6.30. So I had a nice entry, and I'm in the green of about 40% right now, but I'm waiting for more to come. Minimum here, these $10 to the upside, just to close a little bit this open gap here we had from December 14th to December 15th. And if we manage to close this gap, then I can take out my trade and take my profits out of this trade. Yeah, that's interesting to see. If you have some more stocks, then just let me know in the chat and we can analyze. And then in about 4 minutes after the full hour, I will close out the live stream. Yeah, coming down again, you see how important this level is. So that is why you prepare, because then you are not in fear of what is happening. Now you see that we had the levels before the news came out. We had the important levels here. Yes, of course, it's not on point, because sometimes we see these spill-offs on the up and down side, but that's why I use 5-minute charts, because then I see the closing levels, and the closing levels should be above the support levels or below the resistance levels. It's still bullish because we are not making new lows. We are just trading in line here. So we need to have higher highs or lower lows to see a clear direction. And that's why I said wait for market open maybe, because we still have 33 minutes until market open. So we can trade within this broad range here of 130 points until we see a breakout to the up or downside. So we need time. The market needs time to find its direction, but it was looking bullish. But the difficulty is here for market participants to figure out if it's bullish or bearish, because the news were just in line. And when it's in line, it's just, you see, like here, 100 points down, 100 points up. So it's a bull and bear fight, and we can see this the whole day. So let's wait for what will happen here. today, but yeah, I'm still bullish as long as we trade above the 11,000 level, and as long as we can close above the 11,000 level, which is more important for me, because on a day chart and on a week chart we have to be above this important psychological level, and then it's still bullish for me. Yeah, that's it for now. You have no stocks which you are interested in? Okay. Then nothing else to say right now. Then I wish you a happy Christmas, and we will meet probably next week. I don't know if I have time to live stream on Wednesday because I have a one-on-one meeting, a coaching, but probably we'll do one live stream next week. Don't know on which day. But for now, I wish you a happy Christmas, and we will see us next week again. Have a nice start into your weekend, a nice trading day of this Christmas week, and we will see us next week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.